Greetings from the nation's capital. It's the Marlins and the Nationals coming up from Nationals Park here in Washington, D.C. First of a three-game weekend set between these two NL East rivals as the Marlins try to get back in the win column on the road. It's been a while since they won a game away from Marlins Park. They will try to do so against a team that is trying to stay in the mix when it comes to the National League playoff picture and against a guy who is in the mix for another Cy Young Award in Max Scherzer. With that, we say hi again, everybody, and welcome inside the broadcast booth. Paul Severino and Todd Hollandsworth. Well, it's been a pretty eventful last couple of days for the Marlins, but we spin things forward to try to move forward, if you will, after a well-timed off day. Now it's about getting back in the win column, as I mentioned, and they hope that JT Realmuto sets the tone. This is a guy who loves playing in this ballpark. My, oh my.
Well, and you know what? He comes in hot. 4 of his last 11. Started to heat up at the end of that Atlanta series, and you're excited for JT. Listen, he's the big bat in the lineup right now. You got the great numbers here at Nationals Park. You see it over his career, 32 games. 4 doubles, 3 homers, 17 RBIs. Boy, oh boy, do the Marlins need that right now as this offense, again, started to kind of, kick it up last couple of games in Atlanta. You want to see that carry over here into D.C. The one thing that the Nats have been doing is scoring runs. That has not been their issue, so the offense is starting to really roll right now. And again, the Marlins are going to have to find a way to keep up with Scherzer on the mound.
Which is not easy pretty much at any point in time, but especially in the month of August. Scherzer, as I said before, is rolling again. His last start, remembered not so much for how he pitched, which was great, but rather the walk-off grand slam by David Bodie. But in August, a 135 ERA.
Well, and there's an awful lot that's been said about the Nationals and that 500 record, how they found themselves in this position. But there's one man in this stadium that you cannot blame, and it's the man we're showing you right now. Max Scherzer has been an absolute force at the top of the rotation. The Nationals have won 17 of his 25 starts this year, and boy, oh boy, when he's on the mound, it's a different vibe here at Nats Park.
Yeah, the last time the Marlins saw him, it was just one of those nights where he was good and there was no real answer. Perhaps they can find a little bit of weakness in Mad Max tonight. Dan Straley up against Max Scherzer, the first of a three-game set on the way when we come back to Nationals Park after this. Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By WB Mason. Who but WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. By Chevrolet. See your South Florida dealer today. And by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. A nice warm summer night here in Washington, D.C. And a little bit of that. Hopefully just on the outskirts of the storm for right now. But Max Scherzer is ready to roll, and so are we. His first pitch misses upstairs and a little out of the zone to Rafael Ortega for ball one. Paul Severino, Todd Hollandsworth. Glad you're with us on a Friday night as the road trip continues. The 1-0 is a strike to Ortega, who leads things off tonight for the Marlins. He is in right field tonight for Miami. JT Realmuto, we mentioned his terrific numbers here at Nationals Park, and the rest of the Marlins order presented to you by Southwest. This is a bouncer up the middle for Trey Turner, and there is one out. So it's Mad Max on the bump tonight in the midst of yet another terrific season.
Yeah, 15-5 with a 2.19 ERA. This is his 26th start. In fact, it's his fourth start against the Marlins this season. Just fantastic numbers across the board. Last 7. Including a July 27th start in Miami, 5-0 with a 2.75 ERA. Oh, let's go ahead and get you the AutoNation scouting report. Mad Max, despite the Nationals' woes, you can't blame Scherzer. 1.32 ERA. For the Marlins tonight, I think zone hitting is going to be a huge key. He's made some mistakes up, but at times there's been a few home runs that they've been able to hit. 4 home runs in 3 games. Second time through might just be the key. Think about that 4th inning. He's actually got a 4.68 ERA in the 4th inning with 6 home runs allowed. So slight vulnerability with a Cy Young candidate. But again, you got to hit those marks. If he makes a mistake, Marlins hitters have got to be ready.
An 0-2 to Realmuto down around the shins at 95 miles an hour, and it's a ball and 2 strikes to JT, who was 0 for 4 on Wednesday. 4 for 12 on the road trip. A double, home run, 4 RBIs. Good numbers this season against the Nationals as well for JT Realmuto. 20 for 46, 5 doubles. Home run, 9 ribbies. The 1-2. Again to Turner at shortstop, and with the jump throw gets JT by a step. 2 away.
I'll tell you what, Turner is an exceptional athlete, and you see it right here on this play. He's got this in the arsenal. A little jump throw. He knows Realmuto hustling down the line, able to get him by a step. Part of what he does, what he brings to this team. Let's go ahead and give you the Nationals defense for tonight's ball game. Soto gets the start in left, Harper in center, Eaton over in right, Rendon, Turner, Murphy, and Zimmerman. Wieters behind the plate. Scherzer on the mound.
Brian Anderson takes ball 1 outside. We've met Turner already. He's been tested twice on a couple of ground balls up the middle. Now 1-0 from Scherzer is in there for a strike. Anderson 1 for 4 with an RBI on Wednesday. A couple of hits in 13 at-bats on the road trip. As Anderson's going through a little bit of slump as of late, but hits in 6 of his last 10 games. And Scherzer delivers a 1-2 in the dirt. Gobbled up by Wieters. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cut on and missed, and the first strikeout of the night for Scherzer. Goes to the top of the zone to get Anderson a 1-2-3 first inning. Park, a 1-2-3 top of the first inning for the Marlins. So now Dan Straley toes the slab against the Washington Nationals, a team that has been struggling as of late as they come into play today right at 500. Kind of been the story of their season. Here is their starting lineup presented to you by Southwest. It's Adam Eaton at the top, Trey Turner, who the Marlins have seen plenty of this season for sure, and Bryce Harper is a lot hotter as of late than he was earlier this season. Since the All-Star break, his numbers certainly terrific. We will break those down as he gets into the box third this inning. But first, it is Adam Eaton against Dan Straley to lead off the bottom of the first inning. Eaton out in right field tonight, which means Harper is in center. He bunts at the first pitch, fouls it at the plate, and it's 0-1. 20th start this season for Dan Straley.
That's right, 4.42 ERA. He's got a 3.93 ERA on the road. This is his 11th road start. He's hitting .251. Righties .228 against him. Runners in scoring position .237.
Line and caught over there at shortstop by J.T. Riddle. Not a bad way to start the night defensively behind Straley, one away.
Yeah, good evening. How do you do, Bonefish? That's right. I think that's got to be a Bonefish Grill fresh catch of the day. I bet it is. Outstanding effort. Great read, great instincts. Good first step. How about J.T. Riddle getting it done to start this ball game? And it sure is our fresh catch of the day.
That's right. Applause from the starter. Here is Trey Turner. Takes the ball inside. Turner this season 17 of 53 with 3 home runs, 10 runs scored, and 14 RBIs against the Marlins. Nationals a little late or early, depending on how you want to put it. They played in St. Louis last night. Sounds like they didn't get into Washington, D.C. till around 4 a.m.
Well, they'll probably tell you it was worth it. It was a much needed win. They avoided a 4-game sweep at the hands of the St. Louis Cardinals. It's a rough road trip. 2-5 with that win last night.
The Nationals clinging to life when it comes to the postseason picture. Waved that and missed. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes to Turner. Start of play, the Atlanta Braves are a game and a half up on the competition. A backhand play by Riddle, dug out by Dietrich, and Riddle is 2 for 2 defensively tonight.
I'll tell you right now, the way this game has started, Dan Straley's going to try to get everything aimed at J.T. Riddle. doing his best impressions. My goodness, what a fantastic effort. Backhand, strong throw across the diamond. The speedy turner, usually safe on balls like this. Quick release, quick throw. Nice job by Double D at first base as well as he gets more comfortable at first. Good defensive start for the Marlins.
Well, that'll bring up Bryce Harper with nobody on and 2 out. Mentioned earlier that he has been hot as a firecracker since the All-Star break. He offers it the first pitch here and sends it out to Austin Dean in left. Prior to that, I bet he was hitting .352 since the break. But here he's 0 for 1. In the first inning, some pretty good defense on both sides as well in the early going. So Max Scherzer out for his second inning of work as we look to avoid some raindrops here. Right now it is just overcast, 75 degrees. Sounds like it's going to hold off. That's the last I will bring it up unless we see torrential downpours, folks. I control the weather. I'm just trying to paint the picture. Gonna get hammered every time I say these things.
Well, we enjoy blaming you for the weather.
Everything? Oh,
that's true.
Just the weather? I got you.
It's just at the top of the list.
It's whatever's going wrong at the moment.
We're at the edge of the storm, and you better not be talking it over here is what I'm getting at.
It's right, yeah. I'm Bruce Almighty. I just lasso the clouds over the ballpark. A 1-ball-1-strike pitch to Derek Dietrich misses outside. It's Dietrich, Castro, and Austin Dean here in the second against Scherzer. Dietrich 1 for 4 on Wednesday. His only hit in the series against the Braves. But he is hitting over 300 on the road this season. 303 to be exact. This one out to left field. Coming in Soto, and that one's off his glove. Dietrich at first to lead things off here in the second.
Well, a good start to the second inning. I wonder if Double D just didn't have a great read over at first base. You see Soto's effort as he comes in hard and even dives for this baseball. Obviously it gets away. Deet's unable to, I guess, identify where this ball was at. Love to see him on second base. It's off the thumb. His glove got away a good 10-15 feet.
The only thing I can surmise is that the angle that Dietrich was rounding first base and the way that the ball bounced, it was almost behind Soto. May have thought that he caught it. I don't know. The ground ball to third and the double play turn. Castro rolls into the 5-4-3 double play, and they're two-way in the second.
Well, the unfortunate part is that was set up Double D maybe gets into second base. Clearly would not have been the opportunity to turn two.
Marlins might be thinking about taking a closer look at it. Now they've waved that off. So 2 outs. Nobody aboard for Austin Dean. Well, Dean certainly had an eventful Major League debut the other night, didn't he?
Sure saw a lot.
Kind of lost in all the hoopla that night. Was his first big league game. Went 0 for 3 that night against Atlanta.
Well, he can tell that story for the rest of his life.
That's
He'll
right.
probably remember all the details as well as anybody, won't he?
Yeah. Some guys' first game is a blur. His may not be.
Well, he's certainly going to remember game number 2. To start against Max Scherzer. Scherzer has been having a fantastic season, no doubt about it, but a great opportunity. Dean, you can do something tonight and remember that as well.
Pops this one up on the left side of the infield. It will be Turner. 20 pitches through 2 innings of work for Scherzer. Glad that you're with us. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth. First of 3 between the Marlins and the Nationals. Dan Straley, 1-2-3, bottom of the first inning. He'll face Anthony Rendon, Juan Soto, and Ryan Zimmerman. Hoping for more great defense behind him, I'm sure.
Well, I think we all know that JT Riddle's playing, but we got to give you the rest of the Marlins defense. Oh, there it is. My goodness. I was holding my breath for a long time. Dean gets the start in left field. Of course he does. Sierra in center. Ortega over in right. Anderson, Riddle, Castro, and Dietrich. There they are. JT Realmuto behind the plate. I can't really practice that holding of my breath. We're a little too high for that.
You're right. I know the air is very thin up here. Very thin. A ball and 2 strikes to Rendon. Rendon 2 for 5 with an RBI last night. And Rendon's been swinging a hot bat as well. .330 since the middle of June as he comes up with a base hit through the right side to lead off the second inning.
For Dan Straley tonight, you'll see the 4-seam fastball, sinker, slider change. He's been leaning on that slider an awful lot. I'm guessing you'll probably see more of it as the game goes on. Think back to his last start against the Nationals on July 26th. Pretty solid start, 5 2/3. Did give up 3 runs, a couple of home runs, did strike out 6 as well. but in that start threw 40 sliders. So it's always been a big pitch for him, but sometimes he adds a few to some of the teams that can hit a little bit more, and this would be one of them.
So in steps Juan Soto. Takes the ball outside. It has been, of course, between Brian Anderson, Juan Soto, Ronald Acuna Jr. for that National League Rookie of the Year discussion. Soto certainly making his own case.
It's kind of interesting. You know, Acuna obviously heating up, and a lot of discussion over the last few days about how hot he's been. Soto has he's cooled off just a bit. Now his batting average down to 293, 204 over his last 16 games. But he has still been productive. He's walking. How about a 409 on base percentage despite the low batting average over the last couple of weeks or so.
We've seen him hit fourth. He is hitting fifth in the Nationals lineup tonight. And this is a Nats team that comes in at 61 and 61. We've seen them at different points of the year. And the story really hasn't changed all that much. Every time we see them, we're thinking, well, all right, are they in it? Are they out of it? We've got them right before the All-Star or the trade deadline, rather. And there was a lot of maybe Bryce Harper will be dealt, maybe not. And clearly he's still here. They figured let's go for it. But falling a little further out of the race when it comes to the National League East. 8 back at the start of play, so perhaps the focus on the wild card, which they are 6.5 back at the start of play. Line foul. It's time for your Toyota Inside Look. Where have the Nationals been the last 3 years at this point in the season? A heck of a lot further up the standings than they are now is the short answer.
And one problem they've had is they've dominated the National League East, but not this season. Only 25 and 24, 1 game over in the division. Last 2 seasons, 20, 25 games over, 26 games over 516. How about 18 games over 500 in 2017? So far this season, the division has been owned by the Atlanta Braves. Best record against the division. And again, that's what we talk about this time of year, Paul. Teams in the division going head to head. Nationals going to get an awful lot of the Marlins, Braves, and Phillies.
To Riddle at short, steps on the bag, and Soto grounds into the double play.
Tomalo Suave, Miami. Join the Marlins and Rivoli Family Wines next Friday for our next wine event of the season. With a purchase of a ticket package, you'll receive a flight of Rivoli wine, food pairings for each sample for just $30, or purchase the new couples package for just $50. TheMarlins.com/wine today.
So both starters have had the benefit of a ground ball double play. A couple of innings into this one as Ryan Zimmerman takes a fastball inside, 1-0. Zimmerman 9 homers, 35 RBIs on the season, hitting just .257 overall. But his last 11 games, .333, and a drive out to left field will get the Nationals on the board.
Last 11 games for Zimmerman. Now 4 home runs. You can go all the way back to the beginning of the year and point maybe a finger in this direction. Now part of it being because he was hurt. You know, the production that they were getting out of first base not living up to the usual production. But guess what? Of late, Zimmerman has been backing it up. First pitch fastball, and he was all over it. Unloads.
So 1-0 Nationals. Thanks to the Zimmerman home run since the All-Star break, entering play. 7th in the National League in slugging percentage. 6th in OPS, adding to it with the solo home run. Daniel Murphy takes a pitch low, a ball and a strike.
Well, that is the first home run that Dan Straley has given up in the month of August. Something that he's been able to kind of keep in check. We talk about it an awful lot. Dan give up the home run ball.
This one down the left field line, but it'll get into the seats. The ball and 2 strikes.
18th home run surrendered this season in just under 100 innings.
Murphy fights off another one. Murphy at 307 right now, thanks in part to a 9-game hit streak, of which he is hitting .417 during that stretch. Which is 1 for 13 in his career against Dan Straley as he takes low to even up the count.
Well, at this time of year, Paul, I mean, if you were talking about the Nationals, and again, we did just see them a couple of weeks ago. Point being that Zimmerman and Murphy are the 2 guys, at least for me, that once they've started heating up, the idea that this lineup gets really long and really tough, you know, that question gets answered with both of these guys getting going.
This one out to left field, and it will be Austin Dean to make the catch. A Zimmerman home run gets the Nationals on the board. Zimmerman solo home run. There is Jose Urena, who yesterday found out that he had been suspended 6 games for hitting Ronald Acuna Jr. on Wednesday, the first pitch of that ball game. So scheduled to start tonight. However, he is appealing the suspension. So again, as of right now, he would be either in line to make his next start, or, since he only threw 1 pitch, perhaps be available at some point during this series. Again, we'll see how it all shakes out. Don Mattingly addressed it a little bit earlier today, just in terms of how he may or may not be used in the next few days. But certainly the baseball world has talked an awful lot about it, the reasoning behind it, whether or not he is truthful in saying he did not mean to hit him. Acuna, that is, but certainly has stolen the headlines in the last 48 hours.
Well, and there's no doubt about it. I mean, this is undeniable, and I think that since we've moved past it, I mean, it's pretty clear what we all saw, and I know that Jose Urena, deep down inside, really regrets that this happened. I mean, again, Acuna is a tremendous young talent for the Atlanta Braves. I absolutely believe, much like I said in the open, he was trying to get inside. Now, again, you know, the idea of drilling somebody, I don't think that was what his intent was, but his intent, no doubt, was to send a message. Unfortunately, that message way too strong. Well, the idea was, I don't think any of us were surprised that we saw a first pitch fastball. No. I mean, I know I wasn't surprised. Now, where it went, I couldn't have been more surprised, if you know what I mean. Again, that message, like I said, it just locked up everybody.
Oh, a called strike 3. It looked to be a little off the edge, but home plate umpire Ben May said it's a called strike. So as Riddle walks back to the dugout, we'll take a look at Jose Ureña's statement while pitching against the Braves. My intentions were not to hurt anyone. I was pitching my game plan as I always do. Unfortunately, things escalated into something that was never intended. I am glad and thankful that Ronald Acuna was able to return to the lineup this evening, meaning yesterday, without any issues.
Now, that's the key ingredient for me. After everything that happened, Acuna is certainly a big part of what the Atlanta Braves are looking to accomplish this season. They're playing great baseball right now. Marlins know that. And they want to win this division. And when you have that younger brother, and I think Acuna was that for every Atlanta Brave, he's the youngest guy on the roster. He's the guy that's going to be protected the most. Who can blame anybody on their side of it for the reaction? I mean, I'd have lost it if it was my son, and certainly if it was the youngest guy on the team. I've seen many teams react this way.
Grounded sharply to Trey Turner, who has had a lot of action tonight. Gets Sierra by a step, and they're 2 away.
Hey, Marlins fans, now you can stream games live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by Coors Light. Download the app, take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go.
That will bring up Dan Straley. Nobody on and 2 out. Straley takes a called strike. And now 0-2. Straley had a hit in his last start. This is his 5th hit of the season, which is now a new single season career high. He's got the average up to 200. And a called strike 3. Scherzer gets a couple of those in the inning. We are through 2.5. 1-0 Nats.
A big group of Marlins players and coaches had the opportunity to visit Walter Reed Medical Center, which serves both retired and active military personnel. I had a chance to talk to a couple of players about that experience. For Austin Dean, he said it really hit home because he has family members who serve. For Pablo Lopez, he said you walk in there and you see what these men and women are battling, and they still have a smile on their face. So why can't we always have a smile on our face? And then for Don Mattingly. He said, you know what, you walk in there and those men and women think it is such a privilege to meet you, but really it's a privilege for us to meet them. So guys, this was a wonderful visit for everyone involved.
Jess, absolutely. Thank you so much to the Marlins. I know, Holly, you and I were a part of that as well. It was my first trip to get a chance to visit there. It is certainly a humbling experience and very inspirational to hear the stories of these very brave men and women. As Matt Wieters singles into right field, who are going through some certainly very traumatic things, and their attitudes are so positive. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it affected me a whole lot last year. Certainly did this year as much. And I'll add this. And you know, listen, we get this privilege to be around this incredible game every day. The players get to play. We get to talk about it. It's dream jobs. You and I know that. We talk about it all the time. And you go to see these young men and women who are dealing with such difficult things in their lives. I find myself inspired by every one of them every time I get the privilege to talk to them. We had a tremendous conversation with a couple of people in the cancer ward today, and I mean, you're talking about life-changing, life-threatening things, and they see you and they smile, and I look at them and I smile. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's the way that it should be. I mean, they're bringing more joy than I possibly could be bringing them, just by putting up such an incredible fight.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the young men that we met was hours away from his first round of cancer treatment. So certainly we wish him and everyone that we met today nothing but the best going forward. A bunt attempt by Max Scherzer, and Marlins will get the out at second base, one away. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. So 1-on-1 out, back to the top of the order. It is Adam Eaton with Scherzer over at first. Marlins will play the corners in as Eaton bunts barehanded and bobbled by Brian Anderson. Will have to track it down. Scherzer stays put at second base. Of course, Eaton has great speed. But really, the only play for Anderson was to barehand it and try to get rid of it quick.
Yeah, that's going to go down as a hit. This bunt pretty hard. So sometimes the hard ones to field, you still see a lot of spin, a lot of action on the baseball as Anderson comes in to barehand it.
Of course, Anderson has spent a good chunk of the season out in right field, but moving back over to third base, where of course he was the opening day third baseman for the Marlins, but different circumstances pushed him out to right field, and now some of those circumstances bring him back over to third base. Martin Prado on the disabled list. Hopefully for Martin, it's right around that 10-day mark that he'll be gone. If not, hopefully just a little bit more than the 10 days. Miguel Rojas jammed his ankle the other night in Atlanta, not on the DL. But for right now, it's Anderson over at third. And for the Nationals, they have 2 on and 1 out for Trey Turner, who grounded out back in the first inning. Here comes the 1-1. The last time Turner and Straley saw one another back in Miami, and Turner went deep.
Now, on that day, he saw a few more fastballs and changeup, in fact, from Dan Straley. I do believe he had one hit against his slider, but I think you're going to see from Dan, which he's used so effectively the first 2 at-bats, more sliders tonight. And Turner has had his timing has been off against the 84-mile-an-hour slider from Straley.
This one popped up. It will be Dietrich for the second out. Don't miss the hottest matchup of the summer. Catch your Marlins as they take on the Yankees this coming Tuesday and Wednesday nights. Don't miss the Yankees' first visit to Marlins Park since 2015. Get your tickets today at marlins.com/tickets. Looking forward to that series for sure. Just a short 2-game set as we had in the Bronx. Yankees and Marlins splitting those 2 games.
And that's right. You hope that they Marlins have played pretty good baseball for the most part at home this season. You hope that they can kind of lasso the Yankees in and get them to play a little Marlins baseball, maybe turn a couple of those games into a win.
Well, again, just as we have been saying about the Marlins in regards to the National League East, and you know, there'll certainly be a lot of games against the likes of the Braves and the Phillies and the Nationals try to affect that race. The Marlins will have 4 games coming up, 2 against the Yankees at home and 2 against the Red Sox in Boston. Two balls and no strikes to Bryce Harper. Eaton at first, Scherzer at second. Mentioned the numbers on Harper. He swung at the first pitch, but .352 average since the All-Star break, 7 home runs, 23 RBIs, 8 doubles, and 28 strikeouts. This one lined into right field would get down in front of Ortega, who comes up throwing. Max around third, and he's in there safely. Another RBI for Bryce Harper, and the Nationals have a 2-0 lead.
Well, Harper looking to be aggressive with 2 outs. We saw him swing at the first pitch that he saw in the ball game back in the first inning. And again, despite the numbers against Straley in his career, now he's kind of writing the script right now. How about a 2-0 slider? He rips it into right. Ortega, strong throw, but just not enough on it. Scherzer sliding across home plate. Yeah, is it fair to say Bryce Harper got hot at the home run derby?
It seems to be extremely fair to say.
It's like forbidden. You're not supposed. Only guys can cool off after the home run derby. It seems to me like he's heated up.
Right. Maybe a couple of adjustments that he's made, but yeah.
I'll tell you what, his swing. You know, when you just talk about reading body language, he looks so much more confident and under control in the box. And I know that might seem, you know, maybe a little off. Anybody who watches him an awful lot, he has a very still setup. I mean, he doesn't move a whole lot until the pitcher starts his starts the delivery towards home. But even that pre-swing routine that he goes through, looks very confident, looks very under control right now.
Well, again, the batting average has been, the batting average and the strikeouts have been the negatives for Harper this season. The home runs have been there. The on-base percentage has been there. Now that consistent damage seems to be coming back for Harper as Rendon is hit on the shoulder, I believe, and that'll load up the bases with 2 outs.
Well, things getting messy here in the third. Well, this fastball up and in catches the left shoulder of Rendon. Makes his way down to first base. A little smile on his face as he turns into that one.
Bases loaded, 2 out for the rookie Juan Soto. The Toyota trend shows you that Juan Soto down on the list. Brian Anderson at the top when it comes to rookie hits with 131. Nobody's even in that neighborhood with BA. In fact, Anderson leads all of Major League Baseball when it comes to rookies and hits. But it is over the last couple of weeks, it seems as though nationally, the likes of Soto and Acuna, I know there was a poll taken a week or so ago, looked as though to others that it might be a 2-man race, but still about 6 weeks for Brian Anderson to do his best to change the narrative.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, he certainly can heat back up again, and if he does, that attention will start to come his way. But I think that Soto and Acuna both, you know, they get a little help. I got some help back in '96. Very same. You know, I was on a playoff team, a team that was pushing in August and September. People were tuning in and watching, see if the Los Angeles Dodgers could make the playoffs that year, and of course it helped my cause. I'll be the first to admit that.
Nothing in 2 to Soto. They'll check, but no swing.
Now Soto looking to heat back up against the Marlins. I told you coming in, he'd been scuffling just a bit. 11 games versus the Marlins this year, has 8 extra base hits, a couple of home runs, 9 RBIs.
See Wei-In Chen and Tommy Malone tomorrow night, middle game of this 3-game series. Evidently no swing.
Got enough of the plate.
That's the old optical illusion, isn't it?
That was the target, and that's where it's set up. You get a different result. You're absolutely right.
2-2, misses inside, and he can start the merry-go-round with 2 outs.
I'll tell you what, this young man lets the ball get about as deep as anybody I've seen for a teenager. I mean, it is impressive. Even in this at bat against Australia, it wasn't about getting the barrel out. He's trying to track the ball as long as he possibly can, and it's gotten him back into the count.
Caught on and missed. A big strikeout for Dan Straley to get Soto and leave the bases loaded, but the Nationals get a run in the inning. It's 2-0 after 3.
Fourth inning, see Bryce Harper there, RBI single. The bottom of the 3rd, Dan Straley did a fantastic job of getting himself out of a sticky situation. I love this pitch. All right, see, slider in. Soto kind of has to give up on it as it's to the inside part of the plate, but it puts him on point. He thinks about it. Dan Straley, 3-2, 2 outs, bases loaded. What are you thinking? Fastball right here? How about a backup slider to the outside part of the plate? Great pitch.
Top of the order for the Marlins here in the 4th inning. A first pitch strike to Rafael Ortega. Then it's JT Realmuto and Brian Anderson with the Marlins down a pair. First time through the order for Scherzer. 32 pitches. A base hit, which was erased on a double play. So he's faced the minimum through 3.
Well, for Scherzer, we've already seen the entire arsenal. Just the blue base hit by Double D. Dietrich into left. 4-seam fastball, change, slider, cutter, curve. He throws them all quite efficiently. And
the 0-2 pitch misses low. Can you just run through the
the breaking balls, the arsenal of breaking balls.
Right,
Again, I want to keep track here.
There you go. So he throws a slider, he throws a cutter, and a curveball.
3. There might be a 4th. Did you know that?
So would you got a slur for me?
It's like a slow curve. Yeah. I'll explain more after this 1-2 pitch, which is poked out to left field, and it'll get down in front of Soto. A leadoff base hit for Ortega here in the 4th. Yeah. So. Well,
Scherzer right there doubling up on changeups. Ortega, fantastic approach. All right, so 1 changeup away. How about 2 changeups away? I'm looking for it and staying on it. Great swing going with that ball. He pulls off it. It's a ground ball to the right side. I tell you, Ortega has been impressive in the top spot for the Marlins.
So he's on first, and we'll see. He has been one to move on the bases in the week or so that he's been with the club. He stays put on the first pitch to JT Realmuto, which is in there for a called strike. So Eno Saris, who does terrific work for the Athletic, was looking at the numbers, of which he dives through immensely and so well. So he is thinking he might be adding a 4th breaking ball to the repertoire in Max Scherzer. The explanation is very long, and I won't get into everything, but it's just based on horizontal, vertical movement, velocity, all this other stuff. But he says in terms of the velocity, it sits somewhere between the slider and the curve in terms of the movement. Looks like a curveball, so it's kind of like a slow curve. But to me, to simplify that whole thing, to me, that's what makes Max Scherzer great, right? Because he's got, would you list off 4 or 5 pitches that are just phenomenal?
Yeah.
And here he is in search of what could be his 4th Cy Young Award, still trying to add to the repertoire, still trying to get better, still trying to become more unhittable.
Well, any great competitor, any great champion, any Hall of Famer in any sport would tell you they're never satisfied. It's not his game. He's looking to do more. In fact, if you look at most of his numbers this year, they're actually getting better. He's 34 years old. He's got 3 Cy Youngs. He's gone to 6 straight All-Star games. He throws sliders that look like that. I mean, it's a great point, but it's who he is. I've said to you before, what did I say before the game today? I mean, this guy, you watch him pitch, he's like, he inspires you. His teammates should want to play behind him, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. 1-2 pitch to JT, misses upstairs.
And I ran across an interesting one, kind of it's not right in line with the curveball, but certainly also explains who he is, and I think you'll appreciate this as well. You know, we talk about Scherzer and all the workload, the strikeouts, everything else that's going on this season for him. How about this year in 2018? 4 days of rest, 1.79 ERA. 5 days of rest, 3.25. More Scherzer is good. I mean, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
You think most with the innings that this man logs, the pressure that's on him from now until the end of the season to win every time he goes out there with where the Nationals are at. For me to throw that out there should be almost heartwarming for any Nationals fan to think the more we use him, the better he gets. Here's one more for you, though, and I think this one will get you. He's never won an ERA title.
He's been in the same league as Kershaw for a while.
Well, right, but he's not. I mean, you know,
right.
We've led the league in wins. We've got the strikeouts. We can go whip. We can go batting average. We can do a lot of things, and you can get Scherzer to the top of the list, including the All-Star games and the Cy Youngs. But he's never won an ERA title. I think that's so interesting.
Yeah. And may not this year either,
right.
with what Jacob deGrom is doing with the Mets. Again, a payoff pitch. Ortega goes as Realmuto fights this one off and into the seats. Back to first goes Ortega. Yeah, Jacob deGrom is at 1.81. And Max Scherzer started the day at 2.19. Sale and Snell going head-to-head in that category in the American League. 197 for Sale, who might be headed toward another or a Cy Young for him, and Snell's in the mix as well. Time called before the 3-2.
Oh,
Ortega did not run on that pitch, but he'll get second anyway on the walk.
fantastic at bat by JT.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to fpl.com/beattheheat.
2 on for Brian Anderson, who started the day third in Major League Baseball with a .396 average with runners in scoring position. Speedy Ortega at second and Real Muto over at first.
Well, if you remember the scouting report, the AutoNation scouting report, I know we were off a little bit on timing, but the last key, that second time through, there's some vulnerability in this fourth inning. 4.68 ERA against Scherzer. Now, that's not a huge number, but this guy doesn't have many chinks in the armor. This happens to be one of them this inning. 6 home runs allowed. There you go. That's the AutoNation scouting report. Of course, we talked about how good he's been at the beginning in Mad Max and the zone hitting. The idea is that you got to be ready to hit the mistakes if they come. Well, for whatever reason, that fourth inning, maybe that second time through, particularly the middle of the lineup, there seems to be a little bit more vulnerability against Scherzer.
Back here tomorrow night for the middle game of this 3-game series. South Florida Honda dealers present the Marlins Live pregame show. Craig Minervini and Jessica Blaylock live from Nationals Park. We get out in front of the Wei-Yin Chen Tommy Malone matchup. Oh-2 from Scherzer. Ortega goes. Anderson swings. Throw right on the money. Up to second goes JT. But there are 2 out.
Now, the Marlins have been so much more aggressive here over the last few weeks as they try to generate some offense. That pitch elevated. Anderson misses it. Wieder's strong throw. My goodness, Ortega had been 4 for 4 this season. That throw right on the money.
Head down. There's the slide. Two on and a man on second now for Derek Dietrich. Dietrich with a base hit back in the second inning was erased on a double play. He's had 29 multi-hit games this season, a new single season career high for Dietrich. Four strikeouts for Scherzer with 2 outs here in the fourth inning. This is what, the 4th time the Marlins will see Scherzer this year?
4th time.
Does it get any easier?
It really doesn't. In fact, that's kind of the trend. Well, since you brought it up, I wouldn't want to go there, but he's basically gotten better with each start. First couple of starts, Marlins had 3 home runs in start number 2, a home run in start number 1. In fact, we're able to score some runs. 4 earned runs game 1, 4 earned runs in game 2. Last time out, July 27th, crickets.
Yeah, I remember the last time that Scherzer faced the Marlins. it was just one of those games. I mean, nobody frustrated, yes, but it wasn't like you could do anything about it. It was just one of those great nights for him.
Sure it was, but he was on point. Listen, the Marlins had got him the first 2 times, and I found it interesting. 7 hits allowed first start, 7 hits allowed second start, 5 in each game against his off-speed pitches. That third start, no hits against his off-speed pitches. That's what really stood out to me, and that's like that's where you say, all right, this is what my arsenal is, and I need to make better pitches and put hitters away. And what are these? Look where the cutter is. Look where the fastball was. Look where the backup slider was. Think back to the game here, his second start, July 7th, which the Marlins hit 3 home runs. A hanging changeup, a hanging slider, and a hanging cutter all got knocked out of the yard. That start, to your point, he was on his game. But he's vulnerable. I mean, just like anybody else, guys are going to make mistakes. It's just he makes fewer of them, but when he makes them, you cannot let them go. That can't be a take pitch for you. If you see that first pitch fastball down the middle, boy, you better be ready to swing.
Well, he's worked up a lather here in this 4th inning. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Realmuto dances away from second as Dietrich is called out on strike 3. The second time tonight. Scherzer has got the benefit of a wide zone. 2-0. Southwest transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. The Cleveland Clinic, stiff joints, aches and pains, trust Cleveland Clinic, Florida, the #1 orthopedic care in Florida. By Simply Healthcare, live the Simply life. And by your local Toyota dealers, Toyota, let's go places. The presidents in Hawaiian shirts. How about that? Interesting. This was a Hawaiian shirt giveaway night tonight, I believe.
Most of them are red, though.
Yes. But the president's feeling festive nonetheless.
Yeah, there you go. There's a good look at him. Well, it is hot and sticky here in the nation's capital.
There's a delay on the field. The umpires are talking with the Marlins bench at the moment, and I'm not sure exactly what they're talking about. I think it may have something to do with the strike zone, as we mentioned going to break. There's a couple of times tonight.
Well, we've seen the backup cutter to left-handed hitters, JT Riddle, Derek Dietrich, off that outside edge. And I don't think that.
I wonder if Donnie got run.
Yeah, he might have.
That was one. And that's
number 2.
Well, Ben May is behind the plate. That's the crew chief, Ted Barrett, over at first. Will Little's at second tonight. Kerwin Danley's at third. And yeah, I believe Don Mattingly has been ejected from this ball game. Looks like bench coach Tim Wallach has the lineup card. So onward we go.
Well, one thing I can confirm is that neither pitch was a strike, other than it actually being called a strike. I will admit to that, but it wasn't.
It wasn't in the zone.
It was not in the zone. Indefensible pitches, as I like to call them.
Zimmerman, Murphy, Wieters. Zimmerman a solo home run his first time up. His second time up, a tapper back to Straley for the first out here in the fourth. Well, certainly if there are frustrations on the strike zone, that is absolutely okay. You took a look at the pitches. If there's frustrations just kind of overall with this Marlins team, you'd understand that too. They've lost 5 straight, 14 of 16, haven't won a road game in quite some time, 11 straight road games, in fact. So when the strike zone is a little wider than it looks, if you know what I mean. You know, it may get some folks down in the Marlins dugout a little perturbed. And excuse me, swing to third. Anderson off balance gets Murphy by his step for the second out.
Beautiful play by Brian Anderson, this time using the leather. All right, here's your last 16 games for the Marlins. Yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle, 2-14 record. It starts with the runs per game. The ERA obviously bloated. Kind of a combination of multiple things here. And the few times the Marlins have been in games they can win, you've had a little bit of a breakdown. Maybe it's in the bullpen, maybe it's not enough runs late, or a couple of missed opportunities with guys on base. But that mojo that they had in July, where they were playing a lot of close ball games but finding ways to win, not there right now. That's what you're hoping. Day off yesterday, come in against a Nationals team that's been struggling a bit. Try and come in and play some competitive baseball, see if you can't pull out a win or two.
Wieters takes a called strike. It's 0-2. A base hit for Wieters back in the third inning. Wieters with a drive out to right field. Sends Ortega back to the wall, and Wieters has given the Nationals a 3-0 lead.
Fallen upon a common theme. Of course, it started in Atlanta. Atlanta had been doing an awful lot of it. Paul, all 3 runs tonight, 2 outs now for the Nationals. This fastball elevated above the belt. Wieters right on time. He drives it into the bullpen in right. Second home run tonight for the Nats.
It's the 6th time this year that Straley has given up multiple home runs in a game. Never more than 2, however, but second time against the Nationals. And down low to Scherzer. 2 balls and a strike. Scherzer to left field, and that's going to one-hop the wall. Extra bases for Max with 2 outs.
Well, one thing we know about Scherzer, particularly this season, he can swing the bat. That is his career high 16th hit this season. Two-seam fastball inside, just above the knees. Kind of cleans it out of there, cuts it off, catches it off the barrel, and drives it off the left field wall. He came into tonight hitting .288. I think what probably impresses me even more is the fact that he's now got 54 at-bats on the season and only 9 strikeouts. I mean, right? How many times we talked about, you know, this man is a competitor, not just the pitcher. Everything that he is trying to accomplish. He's hitting almost 300 this season.
He may not win the NL MVP, but we've seen it in the past, the last few years, with pitchers winning the most valuable player award. I mean, Verlander definitely didn't have any numbers hitting. He was in the American League. I don't remember what Kershaw was offensively. I don't know if he hit 300 that year.
Well, what I mean is that he's taken it upon himself since coming over from the American League to take batting seriously.
Yeah.
Not everybody does, but the point is that not only is he taking it seriously, and he's actually producing.
He's not impacting half the game. That much, that much we can report.
Good slider there on the 2-0 pitch.
Scherzer does have 1 career home run, came last year. He's at second with 2 outs. Straley's 2-1 misses outside. Single runs in the second, third, and fourth for the Nationals. Throw down to second, and Riddle's able to leap and corral that one as Scherzer's back safely.
JT trying to help the defense out, trying to sneak in behind and see if they can't nab Scherzer.
Three and 2 on Eaton, who lined out to Riddle back in the first and singled in the third. This one out to left center field. Sierra closing in on it, in and out of his glove. Scherzer will score. Up to second goes Eaton. 4-0 Washington.
Well, this is a tough break for the Marlins, for the speedy Sierra. Tremendous effort. Hits him in the palm, just squeezes it out, in fact, and gets by him. There's another look. He did everything right as far as getting himself into position except make the catch.
Pitching coach Juan Nieves out to talk with Straley. So it's being ruled a hit, which gives an RBI to Adam Eaton. But that is all mere bookkeeping at this point, as the Nationals now have a 4-0 lead. Here's Trey Turner. Well, entering the night, you mentioned it before, 2-out damage certainly was a storyline in Atlanta, but even the Nationals this year coming into tonight hitting .353 with runners in scoring position, 2 outs against the Marlins this year. As Turner sends one high in the air and deep to left field, but Dean on the edge of the track makes the catch. Another couple of runs for the Nationals in the fourth. Nationals Park. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, and Jessica Blaylock with you. A 4-0 deficit for the Marlins as we move to the top of the 5th. Geico presents this day in Major League history. It was August 17th, 1973, that Willie Mays hit career home run number 660. It was the final home run of his 21-year Major League career. And if you ever have a half an hour to kill, go on his baseball reference page and just get lost. One of the game's all-time greats, the Say Hey Kid. Starlin Castro to lead it off. Takes ball 1 below the zone. After Castro, Austin Dean and JT Riddle. Marlins find themselves in a 4-0 hole against Max Scherzer.
Starlin has a 6-game hitting streak here at Nationals Park, hitting over 400, 4 RBIs. Most of these Marlins come in with some pretty decent numbers, particularly off the last trip in.
Referring to the game that they had 22 hits.
We had one of those, yes. Keeps everybody healthy, you know what I mean?
Right. It was the just working backwards. They scored 10 runs and 22 hits in the final game. That was the only game of that series that they won. They scored 4 runs in game 3.
Right. That was against Scherzer.
And then, of course, in the opener, that was that 9-0 lead that they couldn't hold on to, but still scored the 12 runs. As Castro chops one up the middle, and it gets past Daniel Murphy for a leadoff base hit here in the 5th.
Well, if I remember correctly, that is the leadoff runner, by the way, getting on for 3 of 5 innings against Scherzer. So Marlins are doing a pretty good job of setting the table against them. Just haven't been able to get anybody across the plate. The singles game, didn't the Marlins have like 20 singles that day?
I believe it was 20 at one point before a couple of extra base hits late. Yeah.
Nice job by Castro. Finds a soft spot in the defense. Couple hopper up the
middle. Castro well over 300 his last 43 and a half games, if you will. Austin Dean takes a called strike. Dean looking for his first big league hit. He's only had 4 at bats. Popped out to shortstop back in the 2nd inning.
Well, it generally gets a little bit easier after you get that first one.
Probably could have had that one. Not an easy play in the 2nd deck there. Could have had.
Start your day with first things first. Join Chris Carter, Nick Wright, Jenna Wolf for the best morning sports show on television. First things first, weekdays on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Your morning routine just got a whole lot more fun.
0-2 pops this one up. Zimmerman calls everybody off for the first out. Now, you know, sit up here. I feel like I ask you this every time the Marlins face a guy like a Scherzer, Kershaw, DeGrom, you know, these superstars in the game. You always say, well, you know what, you get to a point in your career where they're just another pitcher. You've seen him before. Castro's seen him 1,000 times. Dietrich's seen him 1,000. Real Muto's seen him 1,000 times. For Austin Dean, is there an awe factor at this point because it's only his 2nd big league game?
Yeah. I mean, there really is. I mean, that first season, those first few games, I mean, when I say few, I'm talking about my own career, and that's in the scheme of 12 years. So when I say few, I'm probably talking about 50 to 100. No doubt. You really do, especially some of the top arms. You're like, oh my, I'm now in the box against, you know, the guy that I probably respect the most or has had the most success in my lifetime. And you start to add all those things up and you're saying to yourself, okay, I'm supposed to hit him now. You get it figured out. I mean, it's just like once you get past those bumps, things generally get a little easier.
Ball and no strikes to JT Riddle, who pulls this one foul.
It's actually an interesting conversation. I mean, you can talk. I mean, there's Hall of Famers who started out 0 for 25, 0 for 30 in their careers. All of a sudden, get it figured out. They end up in the Hall of Fame. Others, some guys just start hitting right away. You can't really peg it. I started out, I think I was 0 for 8, 9, 10, something like that, and then I finally got a start, which was, I suppose, more important than anything. And I felt like, okay, well, I know I'm going to get 3 or 4 at bats today, and I relaxed. And I ended up getting like 2 or 3 hits in that first game, but again, was still recovering from the 0 for 8 or 9, whatever it was to start.
Right. Strike on the inside corner. 1-2 to Riddle, who was one of the 2 Marlins who looked at a called strike 3 that not have had the corner.
Yeah, and you certainly wouldn't want your guys swinging at those types of pitches. I mean, they're off the plate, and that's why I think the circumstances are what they are right now without the Marlins and their manager.
Scherzer's 1-2. Right back into the chest protector, I believe, of the home plate umpire, Ben May. Either the chest protector or the mask.
That one almost crept up underneath. He kind of moved that mask pretty good. Anything that did not get any neck.
Yeah,
Had been close, yeah. And that's actually better than what it almost looked like the first time. The way it moved his mask, it kind of looked like it ricocheted off his neck.
Here comes the 1-2. And Riddle with a base hit into right field. Marlins have a couple of runners aboard here in the middle innings. Riddle needed that. It was 3 for his last 32 in August.
Yeah, 1 for 2 today. That's all he wants. And the funny part about that is that JT actually tried to call timeout, didn't get it. Got all over the cutter. Sometimes that's the best way to go. See him mouth something right there right before the pitch is on its way. I think he wanted time. It's all right. He'll take the line drive base hit to right.
That'll bring up Sierra. Ground out to shortstop back in the 3rd.
.104 miles an hour on the base hit by Riddle.
Next pitch will be number 70 for Scherzer. Only 5 miles an hour misses upstairs. A ball on a strike to Sierra, who we've heard the skipper talk about maybe getting him on time a little bit the last few weeks. What are you seeing from Sierra?
Well, absolutely. I mean, here at the big league level, you've got to be on time with the fastball and then, really working to track breaking pitches. You can't be on time with the breaking ball and then hoping to defend against the fastball. It just won't exist up here. That's the idea. It's talking about getting that front foot down, those hands started. You've got to start by hitting 94 to 95 and then kind of work your way back. You can't speed guys up. And that sometimes we see with Sierra, you get that sense that he's really trying to track the ball, but it's causing him to be late on fastballs sometimes.
Scherzer set for a 2-1. The other part of it as well would be plate discipline. So the Marlins would like to see some increased plate discipline. Right now swinging at about 53% of the pitches that are outside the strike zone. 3-1. Miguel Rojas on deck. Pitcher spot due up next. Australia is currently in the on deck circle, so it'll be a situational move. Drew Rosinski up in the Marlins bullpen. Done on and missed. For the second out here in the 5th inning. That's 6 strikeouts for Scherzer.
Now Scherzer back to the cut fastball, elevated enough to get it by the young Sierra.
Just tipped it into the glove of Wieters, who was able to hang on. So 2 on and 2 out. Dan Straley will take his at bat here in the 5th. Straley struck out looking back in the 3rd. Castro led off the inning with a base hit. Dean popped out. Riddle singled. Sierra a strikeout. Marlins trying to get something on the board here in the 5th against Scherzer. 0-2 pitch. Backhanded at the plate by Wieters. Ball and 2 strikes.
Back-to-back sliders from Scherzer.
And Scherzer pitches his way out of trouble with back-to-back strikeouts to end the 5th.
As we head to the bottom of the 5th, like you heard the guys mention earlier in our broadcast, Jose Urena has received a 6-game suspension from Major League Baseball in response to what took place in Atlanta. Jose says he does plan on appealing the decision.
Yeah, I will. I have to, because, you know, I feel like I didn't do that on purpose. You see people like they make comments when they don't know. They don't know the real thing, and but you can think about it.
And with Jose appealing the suspension, that does mean that Don Mattingly has the option to start him here in D.C. But guys, Mattingly has not made that decision yet.
Jessica, thanks. Again, he did mention before the game that they have talked a little bit about it, but nothing definitive just yet. So we'll see how it all shakes out regarding Jose Urena and his usage, his appeal, his suspension, and the like. As we play on to the bottom of the 5th inning, Bryce Harper leads things off. Harper, Anthony Rendon, Juan Soto, with the Nationals up 4-0. Next pitch will be number 70 for Dan Straley. Harper with a flyout back in the 1st inning, an RBI single in the 3rd. 78th RBI. He's up to 30 home runs as well. Again, overall, the average not great. It's 245. If you just woke up from a long winter's nap and you saw 245, you'd say maybe not so good. But again, since the All-Star break, he's looked like a little bit of a different hitter.
It was 218 last we were here.
Right.
So there you go. Now, you don't make it back all up at all at once. It just doesn't happen. There's that liberal strike zone on the edge. My goodness. A little inconsistency to the left-handed hitters away tonight.
(3-1). Left side into the seats. Well, if you remember last time out for Straley, speaking of the strike zone, there was a strike that wasn't called on Brandon Nimmo. That set up Todd Frazier and a 3-run double. So unfortunately, that has been a storyline in some of Straley starts earlier today. This one a rocket up the middle off the bat of Harper, who makes a turn towards second, and he is in there.
Yeah, that's where Bryce Harper's game is at right now, and that's how he's thinking. My goodness gracious. When he's on it, this is how he thinks. He's thinking extra bases. He's thinking stolen bases. He's thinking, I play this game aggressively. He did not stop around first base. I watched him the entire time. Sierra took his time to get in front of that ball and, in fact, dropped his head. Harper, without even stopping, watched the entire time. Harper's like, yep, I'm going to take advantage of this situation right here. And cranked it up just a little bit more around first base. That's at times where you see a base runner set up an outfielder. The Marlins are going to have to clean that up. It cannot continue to happen.
Well, I'm sure the Nationals have advanced scouts too. They'll check on Harper, who was about an inch and a half off the second base bag. But we've seen it the last week and a half or so with Sierra, that on times when he does come to charge the ball, sometimes it gets bobbled or it snakes in the grass, and
what
his aggressiveness has hurt him at times as well.
What Major League Baseball does to you, if you show weakness, particularly on the defensive side of things as an outfielder, teams are going to exploit it. I mean, that's just it. That's what advanced scouting is all about.
Now it gets away from Real Muto to the backstop. On deck circle, and Harper to third.
To your point, I'm sure that the Nationals discussed some of the issues that Sierra had in Atlanta.
Harper on at third after the wild pitch. A ball and no strikes to Rendon, who singled in the second, was hit by a pitch in the third. Marlins will bring the infield halfway up the middle, and even with the bags on the corners. Rendon's at 296. as he was getting that base hit through the right side earlier in the game. I noted that since June 15th, Rendon's hitting .330. Since that date, in the top 3 in the National League in hits.
I'll tell you what, Rendon has a real opportunity, at least for the rest of this season, as we've watched Soto develop. He's kind of parked right between Harper and Soto in this lineup. I mean, he might be cleaning up the rest of the season.
In the air to left. Harper will tag Dean with the catch and throw. And it's a sac fly for Anthony Rendon. 5-0 Washington here in the 5th. Time for the Chevrolet Prospect Spotlight. Justin Twine, a 12-game hit streak, hitting .442 over that stretch with the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp on the season. A cool .429 with an OPS over 1,000.
Yeah, those are some impressive numbers. I'll tell you what, hitting well above 400 for 24 games. That's not a small sample size anymore.
Not at all. 6 consecutive multi-hit games for Justin Twine.
He's seeing the ball pretty well.
I'd say so. Juan Soto with a roller to second base. Castro makes the play.
Two down here in the 5th.
That will bring up Brian Zimmerman, who got the scoring started with a solo home run back in the 2nd inning. His 4th home run in his last 12 games. It's amazing. I feel like all we've been doing is talking about how hot this player is and that player is and this player and that player with the Nationals, and yet they're 2-5 on the road trip.
Right. Well, we have not spoken on the weakness over the last couple of weeks for the Nationals because we really haven't gotten there yet, and I'm not sure it's going to happen anytime soon with the way Scherzer's been throwing.
Yes, the bullpen has had its struggles.
It's the issue that the Nationals have really run into of late. Bullpen has been struggling.
Checks on Realmuto. The home run and a ground ball back to the pitcher tonight for Zimmerman. So of his 44 hits this season, 22 have been for extra bases. 10 doubles, 2 triples, 10 homers.
Well, that's what's helped him get that OPS up over 800, now up at 838. And you look at the way that this lineup is constructed. And with Rendon, obviously the main right-handed guy, right smack dab in the middle of the lineup. Without Zimmerman, there's a little bit of vulnerability. You look at Zimmerman and Murphy both heating up. Of course, Murphy lefty. We talked about this a little earlier in the game.
Out to center field. Sierra has room. But the Nationals tack on another in the 5th and lead this one 5-0.
Enter to win when their digital ticket scanned on eligible dates. Official rules, visit marlins.com/YOF sweepstakes today.
Max Scherzer back out for the 6th. They'll see the top of the Marlins order: Rafael Ortega, JT Realmuto, and Brian Anderson. Ortega squared the bunt, pulled it back, and takes low. The ball and no strikes. Marlins down 5-0 now. The Nationals a run in the 2nd, a run in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th, and 1 in the 5th. 2-0. Ortega grounded out to shortstop back in the 1st inning. Singled in the 4th. He was caught stealing on that strike him out, throw him out double play with Anderson at the plate.
The one good thing we really have seen from Ortega, not just the one good thing, of course, he's been hitting. He's got a pretty good eye at home plate. He'll take the walk. Short, compact stroke.
The Marlins have liked his veteranness. I don't think it's a word.
Just made it a word.
Base hit up the middle, his 2nd hit of the night.
Yeah.
But just the polish, I guess, is the word. It gets away from Turner, but no advance. That was the word that Don Mattingly used a couple of days ago. Was we like the fact that he seems to be a little bit more polished than some other guys that we have had in the outfield, or you know, in center field at times, top of the lineup.
Well, you're not talking limitations or, you know, plate discipline, or, you know, what's the idea. He's come up here with a very good idea of how to execute his game plan, his strike zone, and his job at the top of the lineup. And a couple more hits tonight. How about the first week in the big leagues? 2 hits against Noah Syndergaard, 2 hits against Scherzer. Hello.
Who were those guys? A strike to JT Realmuto. JT a ground out to short in the 1st inning, walked in the 4th. Realmuto now 8. We'll check that. 7 for his last 22, a little less than 333. Of course, we had seen him at what, 0 for 23, I believe, was the stretch. He finally broke out of that hitless slump. But we've seen signs of the bat coming to life and staying alive, to quote the Bee Gees. This one sent out to center field, moving over and making the catch is Bryce Harper. Retreating to first is Ortega.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to FPL.com/beattheheat.
One on, one out for Brian Anderson. A couple of strikeouts tonight. Scherzer's got 7 through 5 1/3.
Well, the Marlins continue to get the leadoff man on. That's the 3rd consecutive inning here in the 6th. Been able to get the first batter on base with a base hit. 4 of 6 in the game. No runs scored yet. Scherzer just threw pitch number 87. Been able to work around the Marlins offense. It's been in the stretch most of the night.
1-0 to Anderson.
My goodness, I'll tell you what, he just threw an 83-mile-an-hour changeup to Brian Anderson, and now this is what makes Scherzer who he is. That's not even fair. Let's be honest. Too many right-handed hitters see changeups from righties able to pull the string down to 83. Follow it up with 94 to 96. No, by the way, we didn't even get to the breaking calls.
All 3.5 of them.
I think I saw your pitch too, by the way. It was about 5 or 6 ago.
Yeah. I'll read the exact definition from that article that I read in a moment. But first, the 2-1. Anderson into the seats right side. So this again from Eno Saris of the Athletic. None of the 3 slow sliders Scherzer has thrown in the last 2 games prior to tonight, of course, has had as much drop or cut as his average curveball, and none of them has had as little drop as his slider. Basically, he's created a new breaking ball that looks like his curveball in terms of velocity, but sits somewhere between the slider and the curve in terms of movement. So, not that anybody's figured the guy out, but just when you feel like you may have, here's another wrinkle. In the air to right center field. And Eaton for the second out. T-Mobile, built for baseball. Ian Desmond with the bases loaded in the top of the 3rd inning clears the bases on a 3-base hit. Adam Duvall loses his footing out there on the track, and the Colorado Rockies currently in Atlanta lead that game 3-1 in the 4th. Rockies are going through a stretch right now. It's somewhere it's in the 30s. I had written it down a few days ago where they're in a stretch of 35, 38, 39 games in which everybody they play is over 500. And they're playing great baseball right now.
And they're playing, I'll tell you what, they're a good road team. They play well on the road, one of the better road teams in the National League.
The Rockies started the day a game and a half behind the Arizona Diamondbacks in the National League West. Overall, the Rockies have won 5 of 6. Atlanta's won 14 of 19. So you figure that 4-game series is going to have a little bit of juice to it. Ball and 2 strikes to Dietrich, who singled in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th. Scherzer's next pitch will be number 95. This is his 26th start. 3 times this year, 99 pitches. 22 times this year, over 100. Here's the 1-2.
Against Dietz tonight, you've seen the 4-seam fastball, some arm side run away, 94-95, and the cutter in. My guess is you may see that pitch right here.
Popped up. Zimmerman waving everybody off will make the play, and Scherzer is through 6 scoreless innings. Nationals lead 5-0. Back with you here in Washington, D.C. Thanks for being with us on a Friday night. Nationals up 5-0 as we move to the last of the sixth. The bottom third of the order for the Nats. Daniel Murphy, Matt Wieters, and Max Scherzer due up against Dan Straley, whose first pitch is outside to Murphy, who is 0 for 2. Last time up, nice play by Brian Anderson over at third. Left side into the seats. A ball and a strike. Mentioned Murphy's average is at 304. When we saw him in the first week of July, on July 6th, his batting average had gotten as low as 188. 378 since then, prior to the 0 for 3 tonight.
There's no doubt Murphy was dealing with some we'll call them residual effects from the knee surgery he had over the winter. Seemed like it took him a little bit of time to get in gear. It almost looked like he was kind of dealing with it even as he was making his way back out. But I'll tell you, sooner or later he was going to get hot. Been one of the hottest hitters over the last few seasons here in the National League.
Yeah, Nationals had a favorable part of their schedule where they're playing, I believe it was the Yankees. Either way, it was an American League team, so he was able to DH a little bit. He wasn't playing every day for a little while. As Mark Reynolds has moved into the on-deck circle. Scherzer with 96 pitches, which, if that's it for him tonight, would be his lowest pitch total of the year. My guess, knowing Scherzer, he's pleading his case to continue to go out there. Well, he'd throw 150 if you let him. You come out after 96, you could throw 129.
The best part about that entire situation right there is we watched them shake hands and part. Nobody was smiling.
No.
I mean, this is a 5-0 ball game. He's pitched 6 solid innings, and Scherzer's like, all right, I'll accept it, but I'm not happy about it. And even Dave Martinez was like, look, watch this. Look at him.
But I don't want him.
You think, usually there's some element of, yeah, nice job, little pat on the back. Yeah, that wasn't going on right there.
It's sharply to second base. Wieters retired.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to FPL.com/beattheheat.
So it will be Mark Reynolds who pinch hit for Max Scherzer. 11 homers, 30 RBIs for Reynolds. Certainly a chunk of that damage came against the Marlins. Over, 7 at bats? I believe he was 7 for 7.
Is that it?
No, there's more. There's more. Yeah.
Hurry up.
Well, he had a walk-off home run and then a 5-hit night the next day with 10 ribbies, and then he started the next day with a hit. So he had a good month those 3 days.
Yeah. It's a pretty good effort on your part. So you're saying he had a day?
I think he had a day.
Day and a half. I believe it was a night game after day game, or day game after night, if I remember.
Right. And just trying to think, did he I would imagine he did win Player of the Week. He had.
Yes, I'm pretty sure he did. Yes.
Down on the count, 1-2. Straley misses outside to even things up. Well, this spot in the order has been a productive one tonight for the Nationals. Of course, it was Scherzer who reached on a fielder's choice and a double and scored both times. $18 for 58, it's a .310 average over his last 29 games, but he comes up empty as Straley gets the strikeout, just his second of the game through 6 in D.C. Back here in Washington, D.C., the Nationals have a 5-0 lead. Max Scherzer is out. Trevor Gott is in. Trevor Gott ran to the bullpen, or ran to the mound from the bullpen. There was another option, though, Jessica Blaylock, was there not?
Yeah, there was definitely an option. The Nationals are debuting their bullpen cart. We saw it just come out. Unfortunately, it was declined in that situation, but I had a chance to use it earlier, and I did not decline my option. But in this case, instead of driving it myself like I did in Arizona, there was actually someone assigned to drive me around. Word must have reached DC about my bullpen cart driving skills and how I really struggled when it came to the bullpen cart with the Diamondbacks. I couldn't even figure out how to turn it on. And yes, guys, it's just as embarrassing today as it was a couple months ago.
Starlin Castro toward the corner and eaten up against the wall. Can't make the play. Not an easy play, but that will be a long strike for Castro.
Oh my, that's a pretty good effort right there as he tried to scale the wall. Eaton, oh, almost made an incredible catch. In fact, I think he made the incredible catch until the ball wasn't in his glove. Looked.
Almost made the play by the hair on his, well, not chinny chin chin, but that mustache. Castro retired. Yeah, I wouldn't trust Jessica behind the wheel. I drove with her once in spring training. We all met for one of those days in Jupiter. Get to know everybody, go out to lunch. No. It's like rotaries around there in Jupiter. Forget it. Nope. Not enough seat belts.
Well, we have gotten to the point of this ball game where maybe the Marlins can possibly break through against this Nationals bullpen. They have struggled. Last 10 games, ERA up over 6. 27 innings, 18 earned runs. Of those 10 appearances, or I should say 10 games, 8 the bullpen has given up damage.
Two and 0 to Dean, who rips this one down the left field line. And how about that for your first big league hit? A home run for Austin Dean, and the Marlins are on the board. Congratulations, young man.
Now that is how you turn on a fastball, Mr. Dean. My goodness. Welcome to the big leagues. Great swing, 94-mile-an-hour heater. I think the reaction here at Nationals Park tells the entire story. Just stunned.
And fortunately for him, he won't have to give up batting gloves or a signed bat or anything because the fan threw it back.
Well, it's because they knew it was his first big league hit.
All the more reason for him to keep it. But yeah, good for Austin Dean.
Well, there you go. Beautiful swing. Let's take another look. Yes, sirree. 94, belt high, inner third. Did he clean that out of there?
Florida Lottery in-game jackpot. Austin Dean's first big league home run. You talk about getting that first hit. Well, the first hit, homer, RBI, extra base hit,
well,
filling a lot of columns.
It's preferable, but you know, if you can't get it, you know, get the home run, you know, right away. I mean, you got to kind of build towards it. He just knocked it all out with one. Well, wasn't against Max Scherzer, but was in a Max Scherzer start.
And now Riddle with a base hit to right field. Well, a moment that Austin Dean won't ever forget, I'm sure. Girlfriend here.
That's good. That's
Talked
good
to her
see.
the other night. It's Sarah Kirby, who we had a chance to meet with the other night. Jessica talked to her. I don't know who's happier. I think she might be.
Well, and again, you know, the journey here and the story that she told, he's looking up at her. You know, the story that he told, you know, one of perseverance. We documented this. I mean, he and a few of his teammates making their way here. The number of games they've played, the number of at-bats that they've put in the minor leagues. He's having a was having a phenomenal season at AAA, hitting .345. I mean, just putting up great numbers and earned his way here. And for the moment that he just had about 3.5 minutes ago, that's a pretty good reflection of how it works. It's not just the individual who hits that home run. You see the girlfriend, the mom, the dad, you know, the brothers and the sisters. There is so much sacrifice that goes into somebody's career, and I think right there is a pretty good example of, well, the life that kind of gets you to the moment he just had.
Yeah, that home run is as much theirs as it is his.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nothing in 2-2 Sierra. Austin Dean's first big league home run has the Marlins on the board. As Sierra grounds one to second base, Murphy gets the out at first. Up to second goes Riddle. Well, Miguel Rojas will pinch hit here for Dan Straley. Straley a couple of strikeouts against Scherzer tonight. And called strike to Miggy. And Miggy working his way back to full health after jamming his ankle into the third base bag a few days ago in Atlanta. He's been available in a pinch hit capacity. Right center field, long run for Harper, not going to get there. And an RBI single off the bench for Rojas. Marlins down 5-2.
Well, pecking away, getting it done. Told you the vulnerability of this Nationals bullpen. They have had a rough go of it lately. Third hit in the inning. Dave Martinez making his way out to the mound. That'll be it. Forgot. Great swing, 94-mile-an-hour fastball out over the plate, drives it into right center field.
A home run, a base hit, and an RBI. An inning to forgot. Florida Lottery call to the bullpen. Two out. The new Monopoly jackpot scratch-offs from the Florida Lottery are a new spin on a classic. They're loaded with prizes from $10,000 to $2 million. So unleash the excitement anytime. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Third pitcher of the night for the Nationals. First it was Scherzer, then Trevor Gott. Now Matt Grace comes in out of the Nationals bullpen. His 38th game, as the Marlins look to continue this late rally against the Nats pen.
Yeah, Grace typically induces tons of ground balls. Heavy sinker, good slider.
Here is Rafael Ortega. A couple of hits for him tonight. One in the fourth, one in the sixth. Rojas leads away from first as Ortega takes a called strike. The lefty Grace deals. And Ortega checked his swing. Says the third base umpire Kerwin Danley, a ball and a strike. Six innings, 5 hits, no runs, a walk, 7 strikeouts for Scherzer. The line not complete on Gott, as Rojas at first is his responsibility.
Well, for Grace, he has been one of the few hot National relievers. Comes in with a sub-1 ERA over his last 15 ball games.
Conley, Harlan Garcia, a couple of lefties up for the Marlins in their bullpen. And Rojas hit for Straley, so one of those two will see action in the bottom of the 7th. Rojas will be on the move with this pitch. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. There he goes. Here it comes, and Grace gets the strikeout of Ortega. But the Marlins scored 2 in a moment that Austin Dean will remember forever. His first big league home run. It got the Marlins on the board. He got the ball, and the family got emotional. Austin Dean's first big league home run got the Marlins on the board. They scored another on a Miguel Rojas RBI single. Still smiling, texting, tweeting, Instagramming, weeping, all of it going on right now in the Marlins family section. A moment that Dean and his crew will never forget. First big league home run for the young man. Family was in Atlanta for his debut, made the trip up to D.C. And I'm sure they are glad that they did. As Harlan Garcia takes over, 19th game overall for the Marlins. Takes over for Dan Straley, who went the first 6. They'll face the top of the order. Adam Eaton, Trey Turner, and Bryce Harper for the Nationals. Eaton's first pitch down the left field line, but that one slices foul and hops into the seats. Hard hit line out for Eaton back in the first inning. Nice diving play by JT Riddle in the bottom of the first inning. Then a single in the third and a double in the fourth.
That has to be a pretty good challenge for Garcia.
Castro off balance. Safe.
Take another look. Starlin Castro. As seamlessly as you can make this play at second base. Overthrow to Dietrich at first. And it looks to me like Eaton just beats it across the bag.
The Marlins are not going to challenge.
The third consecutive hit for Eaton.
Of course, would have needed convincing evidence to overturn the call on the field, which was, of course, safe. So the Marlins let it go. A leadoff infield single for Eaton brings up Trey Turner. And that one over the head of Dietrich. Eaton to second, but he's not going to stop there. All the way to third.
Let's give you another couple looks. Certainly just throw well over Dietrich's head. It's going to carry him down the line and into shallow right field. No man's land. And see, Ortega's an awful long way away, and Dietrich has a long way to go. Two-base error on the pickoff throw.
Now Garcia in a pickle. Runner on third, nobody out. Low to Turner, who was 0 for 3 today.
Well, you'd love to see the Marlins find a way out of this inning without any more damage. They just picked up a couple of runs. They're pecking away at that now 3-run lead for the Nationals.
There is a group out there, and I've heard them talk, that do not believe in the shutdown inning. They think every inning should be a shutdown inning. But the Marlins have had their issues the last few weeks. And we noted their struggles in the wins and the losses recently. And it seems like, again, without looking at every line score, that there have been a lot of these innings. And the run hasn't scored yet this inning. Don't get me wrong. But where you score a couple of runs, you feel like momentum might be on your side. And then you're giving it right back. And that ebb and flow of the momentum is, to me, a real thing.
Well, the characteristic of a shutdown inning is a quick inning. It's not always, I suppose, in terms of zeros. We like to say it that way because it seems simpler to say. But the point is to get the defense back on offense. That's the idea. You just scored some runs. Obviously, if you guys went to the plate, you had some big hits there, including a home run, and some things started to gel with the offense maybe getting in gear. Last thing you want is your defense out there for another 10-15 minutes while you're, well, defending. And that's, in a lot of ways, the idea of the shutdown inning. Get your guys back on offense as quickly as possible.
Don Mattingly had a Yogi Berra-ism before the game today. He said, "Let's spend more time in our own dugout," which is exactly what you're saying. This one tapped foul, wide of third. Right back to the mound, and Garcia makes the play to retire Turner.
Well done. Fell behind, made a pitch, got an out. Like to see. Pretty simple.
Bryce Harper. Marlins play the infield in.
Do not think the squeeze is on.
Statcast AI powered by AWS shows a 9-foot lead off the third base bag for Eaton. As Harper takes outside 2-0.
And you watch even how Harper's tracking pitches right now. That's really a pretty good example of where he's at and how he's seeing the ball. I mentioned it. It was the last time we saw the Nationals. The number of foul balls that he was, not hitting his pitch. And you see now it's like he's going up there. It's almost like he's swinging one time. He's just taking until he's ready to swing, and when he swings, it's the result he's looking for. That idea of simplifying things. He's certainly been a huge force in the middle of this Nationals lineup. In the second half, big spot here for Harlan.
that one past Dietrich and into right field. Unleashed on 3-0. And that will score Eaton to give the Nationals a 6-2 lead.
Wallach on his way out to the mound. There it is, one swing on a 3-0 pitch. Another RBI single for Harper. Third hit of the night. Back-to-back 3-hit games.
That'll do it for Harlan Garcia. Nationals add another here in the 7th. 1 on and 1 out. Another call to the bullpen for the Marlins here in D.C. Two, 1 on 1 out in the 7th inning. It's the third pitcher of the night for Miami as Tehran Guerrero takes over. 48 game form this season. Opponents hitting a little under 250 against him. We have seen him get up to 104 miles an hour as of late. Had a little extra mustard on the fastball. Reaching back for more here. Try to keep this deficit where it's at right now. He'll face Anthony Rendon with Bryce Harper on at first.
Yeah, Guerrero should be feeling good, pitching on 3 days of rest. And along with that high-octane fastball, does have the slider, sits in that 84-85 range, and a changeup. Doesn't throw that too often. Over his last 8 road games, got a 2 ERA. 9 innings, 9 strikeouts.
Took a little off. That one only at 100. These are the hardest pitches he had thrown all year. He was 2, 3, 4 times at 104.
I'm laughing at you dripping with sarcasm.
Well.
He's got it.
And over the head of Castro into right center field. Harper around second. Throw from Ortega is through the wickets of Anderson and into the dugout. So Harper will score.
As impressive as Harper has been tonight hitting the baseball, he has been equally as impressive on the bases. No, by the way, it's big leagues, man. 101 miles an hour. Simplify that swing and go the other way. That's what you see. This throw, I'm telling you, Brian Anderson will probably tell you it was blocked off by Harper's slide into third base. Watch as he comes back around and cuts off the ball. Yep, sure does. That is so hard for a third baseman to defend against.
Soto fouls that one into the upper deck. 0-1.
Nice catch.
Soto grounded into a double play, struck out and grounded out tonight. That run, of course, charged to Harlan Garcia. Two and one on the way to Soto. Soto with 15 home runs this season. Those 15 homers, 6th among teenagers in Major League history. Guerrero's 2-2 pitch. It's grounded into the Nationals dugout. The Marlins scored 2 in the top of the 7th. The Nationals have answered right back with 2 of their own. Back to a 5-run deficit for Miami. Nationals looking up at the Atlanta Braves. Everybody looking up at the Atlanta Braves. In fact, in the National League East, Braves currently trailing the Rockies 7-1. That game's in the 6th inning. So the Rockies in position to take the first 2 games of that 4-game weekend set.
Well, the Philadelphia Phillies taking care of business against the New York Mets 4-2. The game has gone final. Aaron Nola picked up the win.
No swing, says Kerwin Danley. 3-2.
Fish featured 2 of the National League East, or even the National League's better pitchers. That was Syndergaard versus Nola in Philly.
Looking at the line for Nola, 7 innings, 3 hits, a run, a walk, 11 strikeouts. His ERA is at 2.24.
That curveball working, didn't he? Sounds like it.
A base hit down the left field line. Around from third, Rendon will score. And it's a hit and an RBI for Soto. 8-2 Washington.
Well, we talked about the Marlins getting at the Nationals bullpen. They were able to pull that off. Washington Nationals, as soon as they got back up again, have been able to flip the script. Getting at this Marlins bullpen. Pretty impressive swing. That's a perfectly executed pitch. JT wanted the fastball, high velocity, low and away. He got it there, and Soto wrapped it down the third base line for an RBI single. His first hit of the night.
His offensive maturity, and I've heard other folks say this, is well beyond his years. It's unbelievable. I mean, a guy who's having such a year like him, 19 years old, can't do anything wrong, would think, well, fine, this guy's throwing 102. I'm going to turn and burn on this guy. No, he slaps it the other way.
I love the idea that he defends the strike zone better than any young player I've seen. That's really what he does. And so many come into the game with, we talk exit velocity and big swings and even swing velocity now, how fast a guy can get a bat in and out of the strike zone. We don't worry too much about the strikeouts or anything else. This young man is a pure hitter who has power, oh, by the way, and power to left. I mean, that to me is what catches my attention, is what he's done to left field this season.
Solo home run for Ryan Zimmerman back in the first inning. Got the Nationals, or second inning rather, got the Nationals on the board. Ryan Zimmerman is halfway to the state capitol, the nation's capital building down the street. Well, I screwed that one up, didn't I? This one looped into right field. Ortega with it will make the play. Barely in the batter's box is where I was going with that. Let's go around the majors, shall we? Jose Ramirez has done it again. A majestic home run. He keeps it fair. That is number 37 for Jose Ramirez. Tied with J.D. Martinez of the Boston Red Sox. Most in Major League Baseball. Who? That's right.
Dare I?
2-1 Cleveland in front of Baltimore right now in the 8th inning at Progressive Field.
Well, he's going to have to do some heavy lifting if the report that I heard earlier today is true.
Murphy, base hit. What report was that?
A report. And Trevor Bauer might miss the rest of the season.
Certainly a tough blow to the Cleveland Indians, whose strength, among other things, is their starting rotation. Cleveland at the start of the day 12 up on the competition in the American League Central. Two on, two out for Matt Wieters. Wieters with a home run back in the 4th inning. Went off of Dan Straley. Went the first 6 in this ball game for the Marlins.
Well, 14 hits for the Nationals tonight. Everybody but Turner has a knock in the lineup, including Scherzer.
His was a double. Oh, and 2. Austin Dean with his first big league home run in this ball game. Fortunately, the Marlins are down by 6 at the moment here in the 7th. 1-2 from Guerrero. A called strike 3. That will do it for the Nats, who scored 3 in the 7th.
The Marlins have scored a couple runs, and one of those courtesy of Austin Dean, who not only gets his first big league hit, but it ends up being a solo home run. On top of that, his family, his mom Bonnie, his dad Don, and his girlfriend Sarah are here to share in that moment. Now, Bonnie, I'm going to ask you the same thing that I asked Sarah, because I know a mama is going to want to weigh in on this.
Yeah.
You have seen all the hard work that Austin has put in to get to the big leagues. What does it mean to you to watch him take that field and live out his dream?
I can't describe what it's like to watch your son live out his dream. He's been doing this since he was 4 years old. He's loved baseball his entire life, and I just can't describe how it feels, because there's no description to it.
And Don, like I mentioned, a home run for him in his first big league hit. I bet it doesn't get much better than that.
How about that? Unbelievable. Dad will rest a lot better tonight, I promise you. And, you know, this moment has been 6 years in the making, and we were honored when the Marlins selected him. Glad that his local area scout was here to witness, Ryan Wardinski to witness with the family. We're glad through all the ups and downs and injuries and progressions that the Marlins stuck with him, believed in him, and gave him this moment. And honestly, it is indescribable.
Sarah, you told me back in Atlanta, when he took the field, you started crying. When you got the phone call, you started crying. When you waved to him, you started crying. How about there on the home run?
Oh, I started crying. I immediately started crying. I did. I didn't know what else to do. I was so happy. I mean, I just started crying, and there was no other emotion I could do besides cry. I mean, I was just so happy. I'm so happy for him.
Well, we're so happy that you guys have had the chance to be here and partake in that moment, and thank you for being so gracious with your time. Guys, back to you.
Thank you.
Jessica and Dean Clan, thank you so much. Of course, a very special night, journey for sure for Austin Dean. Because of the tradition of the visitors hitting home runs, he'll get to keep that ball without having to give up any of his batting gloves or hat or signed ball or anything like that. Special that the family was here. Wander Suero pitching for the Nationals, their fourth pitcher tonight. Scherzer went the first 6. 5 hits without giving up a run. JT Realmuto, a base hit up the middle.
MLB.TV is now available at a lower price. Just $49.99. You can watch every out-of-market regular season game, plus get a free subscription to MLB at Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Good swing by JT. Second time on base tonight.
There's Brian Anderson, 0 for 3 to this point. A couple of strikeouts against Scherzer. Scherzer had 7 in the ball game.
Well, I think I figured out part of the national problem. Is that no matter
Nationals problem or the national problem?
No, I can't. Nobody's figuring that out. The Nationals problem with an S.
Okay.
Here's what you got. Whoever comes out of that bullpen, well, at least tonight anyway, he's got to follow up Scherzer's act typically.
Right.
Well, that's the complications. You know, anybody's offense is going to be like, all right, this gets a little easier.
Right.
I mean, you watch some guys go about their business, and the element of predictability starts to happen. You watch guys get into patterns, and it's funny. Scherzer's the one guy. This is now, what did I say, 4th start tonight against the Marlins. And there's just been a handful of times where I've, kind of thought this is the direction he's going, and a lot of times he doesn't. As Brian Anderson pops out to Zimmerman at first for the first out here in the 8th.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there can't be much predictability or many patterns when a guy's got 312 pitches.
I was just thinking back to, talking about the sequencing against Dietrich. And again, early on, we were seeing that fastball to the outside part of the plate and then the cutter in. And it's like that's where he'd gone the first 2 at-bats. And then the 3rd at-bat, oh, by the way, on a 2-strike pitch, decides to pull out his best changeup of the night. I mean, it's things like that that make him who he is, that unpredictability. You know, a lot of times we talk about the element of greatness, you know, particularly with starting pitchers, and in so much of it's centered around their stuff. Guys may have a 2, 3, sometimes even 4-pitch arsenal, and we say, well, he's throwing 96, 97, he gets it by, or he's got good arm side run, and you'll watch them lean on those pitches as the game progresses. The thing with Scherzer, at least in my opinion, and you kind of mentioned it, I come in telling everybody he's got a 5-pitch arsenal, and you're like, he's working on a new pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. Look at his numbers. The 5, because I didn't even have a 6th pitch in my scouting report, because I refuse to acknowledge it until I see it. Of the 5 pitches, no hitter this season, nobody's hitting, you know, his batting average against all of those pitches. The highest is 242, and that's against his curveball. And he doesn't even throw very many, only 8%. But the point is that all the other numbers are 200 or below against his cutter, slider, changeup, and 4-seam fastball, all of it. Good luck. And good luck to those who come out of the Nationals bullpen.
Are you exactly? Are you willing to play a game with me for a split second?
Play any kind
so we
take
got
2 right now.
We've got Nola, we've got DeGrom, and we've got Scherzer. Would you agree that those are the 3 finalists, if you will?
Sure.
Three-headed monsters
Absolutely.
for the Cy Young. Do you like the if the season ended today game?
That's fine. I'll play whatever you want.
Let's play that.
Sure.
Who's your Cy Young?
Scherzer.
And not even a question in your mind.
Undoubtedly. And I watch him about as close as anybody, at least when we see him. We're focusing here on the Marlins, but you know me, and you know I love numbers. You know, I grind on these guys. I get in there, try to find the hole, in the armor, the chink in the armor. I found it against Scherzer, and we had a couple guys on there in the 4th inning. You know, that was like the one area where maybe you find some, you know, vulnerability. But he just bends. He didn't break.
Well, the Marlins have gotten a good look at all 3 of those guys this year. All 3, Nola, DeGrom, Scherzer, pitching in the National League East. The ball and 2 strikes to Dietrich. And grounds 1 foul.
Is it fair to say, and I'm probably way off my mark going here, but it's kind of how I feel, and you know how sometimes you just go there. It's like you look at what this national season has been, and I feel like he almost single-handedly has kept them afloat. Now, he can only do his job every 5th day. I certainly understand that. But with the storylines that have kind of surrounded this team this entire season, the one constant through it all has been Scherzer.
Yeah. Dietrich strikes out for the 2nd out here in the 8th. That's the thing. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about the Nationals. Are they in it? Are they not? Are they going to make a run? But every 5th day when Scherzer pitches,
17 to 20, what was it, 17 to 25 coming in, and I'm sure the other ones aren't, you know, squarely on his shoulders.
Right. And that's the reason why so many people believe that if they figure out a way to get into the tournament between Scherzer, sounds like Strasburg's close to getting back, that they could make a run. Harper in right. Down the line, Harper had moved from center to right at the beginning of this defensive inning. He went up against that wall and kind of bailed at the last second. Not sure if a fan reached over or not.
Yeah, I believe so, and I think he tried his best to get out of the way. I don't blame him. I think somebody reached across, and as that ball comes down, he may have had a play on it, but not any longer.
I think it was the fan in the Hawaiian shirt.
Then narrows it down to 25,000.
No, not that one. The other one on the right.
Wrong side of the field. Yeah, there comes David Martinez. I'm not surprised. Yeah, I am absolutely not surprised at this.
Dave Martinez went out to talk with the first base umpire, Ted Barrett, who was the crew chief. One more look. So he did deflect it into the seats.
Now, you know, it's so interesting. If Harper goes at that without, you know, backing off at the last second, you know, obviously you have a little bit of an argument right there, don't you? You know, as far as the ball being potentially caught.
Yeah. Castro out to center field. Michael A. Taylor. Essentially no harm, no foul through 7.5. Back here in Washington, D.C., it's the Nationals up 8-2 as we head to the last of the 8th inning. It's the opener of a 3-game set, but tomorrow Wei-Yin Chen is on the mound. Tommy Malone goes for the Washington Nationals. Marlins live 3-game show on the air, 6:30. First pitch a little after 7 here at Nationals Park. Well, one thing that we have talked an awful lot about when it comes to Wei-Yin Chen, and I'm sure the questions will be asked pregame tomorrow. It'll be a topic of discussion tomorrow as well, is, that's right, the home road splits for Wei-Yin Chen.
He's got some good starts on the road.
Right, absolutely. But just in terms of the ERA, home versus road, and the Marlins have done a nice job in kind of maneuvering him around to make sure that some of his starts are at home at Marlins Park, because no one can explain it, really.
Well, it's quite extreme. There's no doubt about it. I think it's right around that 10-run differential, which is incredibly. I mean, it really, you can't even explain it. I mean, I've done everything in my power other than to use the word confidence, and that's just really where it goes. He's been so confident at home. Again, we see it time and time again. On the road, you know, it's been a little bit more of an issue, and that's you know, that's what he's going to have to figure out, because again, it's not resequencing of the pitches, it's not getting, you know, changing lanes. Much of what he does, he does every start, both at home on the road, yet the results have been so extreme. I mean, 350 batting average against on the road and 200 batting average against home. And one thing that's interesting, he's made 2 starts against the Nationals this year, 1 absolutely outstanding start at home, 7+ innings, and then here at Nats Park, knocked around.
Yeah. It is a phenomenon for sure. Javi Garrett takes over for the Marlins. Ahead in the count 1-2 to Wilmer Defoe. And he strikes him out, 95 miles an hour upstairs for the first out here in the 8th.
Yeah, nice job by Guerra. Going right at him. Set that up well. The curveball just before it, elevated with the 93-mile-an-hour fastball, gets the strikeout.
Michael A. Taylor in the #1 spot in the Nationals lineup. It takes Adam Eaton out of the game as Taylor takes upstairs.
Relatively, well, I should say newly acquired. He's been around for a little bit. Greg Holland getting up in that Nats bullpen.
To the left side, Riddle for the second out. Two outs for Trey Turner. Marlins will have Dean, Riddle, and Sierra due up in the 9th inning. It's time for Lowe's whole team together. The Washington Nationals and walks. They're second in the National League when it comes to walks, actually across all of baseball in walks. But the Marlins have done a nice job. No free passes tonight. Nice job in the walk column.
Well, the Marlins have been aggressive, made some nice pitches at times.
Foul ground for Anderson. That'll do it. When we come back, Austin Dean, fresh off his first big league home run, will lead off the night. To you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Lincoln. Join the Lincoln Summer Invitation Sales Event. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. And Thomas Jefferson Memorial here in Washington, D.C. An 8-2 deficit for the Marlins as we head to the top of the 9th inning. Greg Holland will take over. He'll face Austin Dean, who I don't believe his feet have touched the ground since his first big league home run, which came back in the 7th inning.
Well, that's okay. Ride it out. Do it again.
Yeah, what do you have planned for an encore?
He's going to get some Greg Holland. It's been an interesting run for Greg Holland. He finds himself here, just newly signed, August 7th. That's in part because he was with the St. Louis Cardinals, who he originally signed with. Late, did not pitch too well. St. Louis Cardinals, 7.92 ERA. Holland, a 3-time All-Star, including last year with the Colorado Rockies, won Comeback Player of the Year award. This season has not been nearly the same, but an opportunity here with the Nats, and I think a big opportunity if you really look at what their bullpen is. We were talking about this just a few seconds ago. They've only got 2 guys from their opening day roster in their bullpen.
Ball and 2 strikes to Dean. Well, again, Holland signed with the Cardinals on March 31st. Right, to either come out of the bullpen, close games, however they're going to use him. He was a relief pitcher, right? So follow me here. The relief pitchers typically wouldn't need as much time to build up their arm strength in terms of innings pitched as a starting pitcher, but we've seen it a lot as that one hits sharply to Defoe, who picks it off the dirt for the first out here in the 9th inning.
Yeah, great swing by Austin. Clearly, undoubtedly something to build on for tomorrow.
WB Mason Marlins Live post-game show with Craig Minervini live from the field. We'll recap Austin Dean's first hit, his first home run as well. We'll hear from Don Mattingly, even though he only managed the first couple of innings tonight before being ejected. It's been Tim Wallach at the helm for a good chunk of the evening. Here's JT Riddle. But I guess my point was, in terms of players signing late, we've seen this more and more the last few years. And not many players have gone on to have good seasons, or have good starts at least to their seasons, when they don't get that full complement of spring training.
I completely agree with you, Paul, but at the same time I understand the place or the position that the players are in. You know, the contract that Holland was certainly deserving of and believes he was worth, which is the one that he ultimately signed, and maybe he was looking for a little bit more as far as term. But the bottom line is he held out. It's not the intent of the players. It's not like they're doing it on purpose. But the point is that they're looking to get what the market value is on the season that they have either put together prior to, or the body of work, which is, you know, multiple seasons.
So Holland trying to salvage his own 2018 season and play his part in salvaging the Nationals. Hard hit, but foul.
Tell you what, JT Riddle, this might be one of those little nuggets that we pull out of this ball game tonight. Obviously the Nationals up 8-2 and the Marlins down to their last couple of outs, but some really nice swings from JT Riddle tonight. And he's been really concentrating on pulling the baseball, both his hits to right and really getting that barrel out. Good swing there against Holland. Just missed another hit a few feet.
A single in the 5th, a single in the 7th, and came around to score in that 7th. Here comes the 2-2. Pulled on the ground to Zimmerman. And the Marlins are down to their final out. Here is Sierra. A ground out, a strikeout, a ground out tonight. 3 at bats. A check, no swing, says Kerwin Danley. 2 balls and a strike. Marlins in danger of losing their 6th straight game, which would match a season long. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Holland delivers. Cut on and missed. And the Nationals take the opener. Another win for Max Scherzer. Picks up win number 16 this season. In the process, lowers his ERA to 2.11, continuing to make a strong case for another Cy Young Award.